Summary of The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. At the height of World War II, the children Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy were separated from their home in London and brought to safety outside of the city. They go to the house in the country of a kind but strange professor. As the kids look around the house, Lucy finds herself in a room that is empty except for a big closet. She opens it to see what's inside, and when she sees a row of fur coats, she climbs up into it to rub her face in the furs. The closet goes back further than she thought, and as she climbs deeper and deeper into it, she soon finds herself walking on newly fallen snow. When she looks up, she is deep in a snowy wood, and in front of her is an old lamppost. She soon comes across a fawn who is wearing a coat, carrying an umbrella, and holding packages in his arms. Mr. Tumnus, the fawn, is so happy to see Lucy that he drops all of his packages. He asks her if she is a daughter of Eve or a person as he picks them up. Lucy says that she is, and Mr. Tumnus tells her that she is in a place called Narnia where people are rarely seen. Mr. Tumnus asks Lucy to come back to his cave to get warm and have some tea, and Lucy agrees. After a fancy meal, Mr. Tumnus tells Lucy stories about Narnia's past, but Lucy chooses to go home because it must be getting late. Mr. Tumnus tries to stop her from going, and when Lucy asks him why he doesn't want her to leave, he starts to cry. He says that he is working for the evil White Witch, who wants to be king of Narnia, even though he doesn't know it. She has told him to bring her any person he meets. Mr. Tumnus says that the White Witch has set herself up as queen of the land and made it so that it is always winter and never Christmas in Narnia. Lucy tries to convince Mr. Tumnus not to give her to the witch. Mr. Tumnus, who is kind and good, says he could never turn Lucy in, even though he is afraid of what the witch will do to him if she finds out he has gone against her. She has a habit of turning people who disagree with her into stone. Mr. Tumnus takes Lucy back to the lamppost and says goodbye to her there. She goes back through the woods until she's back in the closet. Lucy finds her brothers in the hall. Even though she has been gone for a while, she tells them she is fine. But her brothers and sisters are confused and say that Lucy just went into the closet room a minute ago. Lucy tells them about the magical world she found inside the cupboard and invites them to come with her and see it for themselves. But when she opens the closet again, it's just a regular closet, and her brothers make fun of her a lot. During a game of hide and seek the next rainy afternoon, Lucy and Edmund both hide in the closet. Edmund follows Lucy through the back of the wardrobe to Narnia, where he is amazed but confused. Soon, a beautiful woman in a crown gets off a big sleigh and stops in front of him. The woman asks Edmund what he is, and when he stutters, she tells him that he needs to speak more clearly to the Queen of Narnia. When the Queen finds out that Edmund is a person, she feeds him magical Turkish delight until he tells her about himself and his siblings. The fact that Edmund has 3 brothers is very interesting to the Queen, and she tells him to bring them to her house. She tells him that if he does, she'll give him more candy and turn him into a prince. As soon as the Queen leaves, Edmund hears Lucy calling for him. She has been to tea with Mr. Tumnus, and she is glad that the White Witch hasn't worried him. When Lucy tells Edmund who the White Witch is, he sees that he was just talking to her, but he doesn't tell Lucy. Back in the real world, Lucy is glad to have Edmund to back up her story about visiting Narnia, but Edmund lies to their older brothers and says that Lucy is making everything up. Lucy is sad for a few days, which makes Peter and Susan worry. They tell the professor that they think Lucy has gone crazy, but he says that his house is very old, big, and strange, and that it probably has many secrets that no one can explain. He tells them to believe Lucy, who is, according to Peter and Susan, much more honest than Edmund. Peter and Susan try to help Lucy out and tell Edmund to stop making fun of her. One afternoon, all 4 children run through the house and hide in the closet to avoid Mrs. McCready, the professor's annoying and bossy maid. After being inside for a few minutes, the kids feel a cold wind. They all get up and go to the back of the closet, where they can finally see Narnia all at once. Lucy takes the group to Mr. Tumnus's house to pay him a visit. When they get there, they find that his cave has been destroyed, and a note on the door signed by Maugrim, captain of the Queen's secret police, says that he has been arrested for high treason. Susan and Peter say they should go home where they are safe, but Lucy says she can't leave her friend in the witch's hands. Lucy sees a robin sitting on a branch of a tree. When the bird starts to hop from tree to tree, she knows that it is taking them somewhere. Soon, they see a beaver. He tells them to follow him to a place where they can talk without being interrupted. The beaver tells the children in a clearing that Aslan is on the move and that help is coming. Even though the kids don't know who Aslan is, when they hear his name, they all feel very sad. The kids ask the beaver for more information, but he says that even the trees could be working for the witch. Instead, he asks them to have dinner with him at his house, where they can all talk safely. When they get there, all four of them eat a big meal. After dinner, they talk about what can be done to help Mr. Tumnus. Mr. Beaver says that the best thing to do is to wait for Aslan to come and fix things. He says that Aslan is the real king of Narnia. He is very powerful, but he is often not in the kingdom because he is busy with other things. Mr. Beaver says he will take the kids to meet Aslan the next morning at the stone table. Mr. Beaver talks about a forecast that says 4 people with Adam's flesh and Adam's bone will come to Narnia to end the Queen's rule and sit on the 4 thrones in Cair Paravel's castle. The kids were so caught up in what they were saying that they didn't notice that Edmund had left. They look for him very hard, but they soon learn that he has left the beaver's dam for good. Mr. Beaver says that he could tell just by looking at Edmund that the Queen's magic had touched him and that he couldn't be trusted. He thinks that Edmund has gone to the Queen's house to tell her that Aslan is coming back. Edmund, on the other hand, walks to the witch's house in the bitter cold. There, he finds a whole collection of stone animals all over the garden and inside the house. The Queen's secret chief of police, Maugrim, is a talking wolf. He takes Edmund to the Queen, who is angry that Edmund came alone and not with his brothers. When Edmund tells the Queen that Aslan is coming, she tells her driver to get her sleigh ready. Edmund, the witch, and the dwarf who drove the witch went to the stone table. As they get closer to their destination, the air warms and the snow melts into slush. The witch knows that she is losing power and that it is because Aslan is getting close. The 3 of them walk to the table. When the beavers, Peter, Lucy, and Susan get to the stone table, they find a fighting camp already set up. Aslan is there, and even though the kids are scared by how big and strong he is, Mr. Beaver tells them to move forward. Aslan asks the kids who they are and where their 4th brother is. When they say that Edmund has turned against them and ask if there's any way to save him, Aslan says that it might be harder to save Edmund than they think. When the Queen's police show up, Peter charges Maugrim and kills him to save Susan from his grasp. Aslan gives Peter a knighthood and praises him for his bravery. Edmund is freed from the witch's grip by a rescue team, but the witch turns herself and her driver into rocks to avoid being caught. The next day, the Queen shows up at the camp and asks to talk to Aslan. The old rules of Narnia and deep magic say that she is the one who kills rebels, so Edmund's blood belongs to her. Aslan talks to the witch alone, and after their talk, the witch gives up her claim on Edmund and leaves camp. However, it seems that Aslan has made some kind of dark promise to the witch. After moving the camp farther east that day, there is a feast that night, but Aslan is quiet and sad. Later, when Susan and Lucy can't fall asleep, they get out of bed to check on Aslan. They find him walking back to the stone table through the woods. Aslan sees the girls following him and lets them come with him. He tells them that they must stop and turn around when he tells them to. At the stone table, Aslan thanks the girls for their company and tells them he must go on alone. Lucy and Susan hide and watch as the powerful lion approaches the stone table, where the witch and her troops are waiting. They hit Aslan, shaved off his hair, spat on him, teased him, and tied him up. The witch brags about how she beat Aslan, and then she kills him with a knife. After the witch is put to death, she and her happy followers go after the human vermin. Susan and Lucy go up to the stone table and cry over Aslan's dead body. They untie him and decide to go for a walk to clear their minds. As they walk around the area, they hear a loud crack. The stone table has broken in half, and Aslan has come back to life. Aslan tells the girls to jump on his back and carries them all the way to the witch's house. Once there, he starts bringing the witch's stone figures back to life. Aslan takes the animals, nymphs, dryads, fauns, and giants back to camp after they have formed an army. There, they fight the witch and her troops and quickly win. After the fight, Aslan uses magic to get food for everyone who helped him. The next day, everyone marches to Cair Paravel, where Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy are crowned kings and queens of Narnia. The children run Narnia for a long time. They forget about their lives in the real world and spend their new lives getting rid of bad things in Narnia and making bridges to connect it to other places. One afternoon, the four masters come to the lamppost. It looks familiar, but they can't remember why. They keep going through the wood and soon find themselves falling out of the closet, where they had just been. The kids find the professor and start telling him about Narnia. They are surprised that the professor not only believes everything they say, but also seems to know some things about Narnia himself. He tells them not to tell anyone about Narnia unless they meet someone who has already been there.
About the author. C.s. Lewis was born in Ireland and grew up there. He went to school in England. His mother died when he was young, so he spent his time reading and learning about literature and mythology. Lewis went to the well-known Oxford University. He left for a while to fight in World War I, but after getting hurt in 1918, he went back to school. But the terrible things he had seen in battle made him turn away from Christianity and say he didn't believe in God. As he lived, studied, and wrote in Oxford, he became friends with J.R.R. Tolkien, who wrote The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. Their talks and arguments helped him reluctantly rediscover his faith in Christianity. Lewis went on to write fiction and essays that praised Christianity and looked into its depths. His 7 Narnia books, which are his most well-known works, are known for how they combine Bible themes with fantastical worlds. The mid-1950s series has been adapted for television, movies, and theater worldwide.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.